part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Thank you for downloading the Chase Smith Podcast, proudly part of the Press Play Podcast Network. In this episode, I interview Jason Otero and Gary LeMasters, hosts of the Ball Card Show, right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. We reminisce about collecting, talk personal collections, touch on the future of ball cards, and briefly lament our crypto profiles. Let's get it! Here with me, the host of the Ball Card Show on the Press Play Podcast Network, the host with the most. No one calls you that. No one calls you that, but I feel like it sounds good for a hobby or collectibles pod. Yeah. Jason Otero, Gary LeMasters. Fellas, what's up, guys?
The hosts that eat the most, maybe.
Yeah,
but that's about it.
That's right. Collect the most.
No, we're good, man. Thanks for having us on. We're excited to be here.
Good.
Happy
oh my gosh,
here.
of course. Your show is fantastic. If anyone just right out of the gate loves collecting cards, collecting anything collectible hobby, check out the Ball Card Show on the Press Play Podcast Network. It is such a joy to listen to, and you guys do a great job. You guys just second season off and rolling.
Yep.
Yeah.
17 episodes in already, second season, which is crazy. Where every week it's like, what episode is it? Holy crap, it's 17, 18. Where are we at? Okay.
It's great. And what I love is the community that you've built on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It is just so cool to get on and see everyone interacting and talking to you guys. How long did you feel like it took to get traction in that community?
Well, I think what's strange with that is you have like a couple of audiences when you talk about sports card collecting, people that had never quit collecting, and then a massive wave of people who just began collecting or got back into it in the last couple of years.
During COVID, when they were bored and had extra money.
Yeah. And then you have the volatility of the collecting market happening during that same time. And there's this gambling aspect now where people can hit massive cards or lose a ton of money. And so there's just a lot of appeal, but it's kind of like, if you're jumping into the hobby, it's kind of overwhelming to navigate the do's and don'ts to figure out what you want to collect. Yeah. And so we're trying to just be a bridge for people to feel safe to ask questions on that, to joke around, to show what they found recently or what they're collecting or what they're looking for.
Gosh, the show is so much fun.
Oh, we try. I mean, I think one of the things that helps us is Jason and I have been really good friends for a long time. So we kind of have a natural back and forth, and we rib each other a lot, but it doesn't come across as mean, even though sometimes we're looking at each other like this is serious. I hate you. Yeah. But when it comes to like building a community in Facebook, especially, one of the things that helped us, I think more than anything else, is I'm one of those people that falls into that category of has been doing this for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I've done a lot of business on Facebook in this world. And so we had a little bit of an advantage in that, not like I was famous or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of people knew who I was. So when we said, hey, we're launching this podcast, we were able to get a little bit more traction right out of the gate than I think somebody just starting completely from a blank slate would have had.
And the ball card collecting community has shifted so much. Like, it used to be literally card collecting clubs in the late 80s, early 90s that would sit around with their Beckett catalogs and they're looking through and they're trying to trade off cards and build out sets. And now everything is online and it's legitimately overwhelming. So that was like my experience, is like, I love this. There's so much to collect. There's so much more short printed or variations, and there's ways to actually invest with this. But you're just diving in the deep end right away. So building some relationships and having fun with it has really helped me stay more invested. And for people getting back into the hobby, for them to find an outlet to feel safe to ask questions and learn.
For sure.
I was one of those guys growing up, did it with my dad, and you said Beckett, and I was there. We had our book, and not that we obsessed over, we more chased players, right? Yeah. Like, oh, we have this rookie coming out, or like Chad Pennington. My dad went to Marshall. I went to Marshall for years. So we were like the Pennington, the Moss rookies. And so it was a very special, we knew when the cards would be dropped off at Kmart, and we would go and we just did Topps cards. We just did Topps cards, Topps football. It was so much fun, and it's a really great memory. And it does seem though that with the rise in like social popularity of gambling and whether it's the comic book culture and all that's kind of merging, it does seem a little bit like the innocence of at least trading cards is just a little bit gone. Maybe like the nostalgic mystique is not, it seems like it has purpose now. Then it just seemed like a bunch of stuff. What are you going to do with it? You have a book and you show your friends, and maybe there's a board game you can play with your trading cards or whatever.
Oh, classic. Yeah.
Right. But now it's like, oh my gosh, I pulled this random holo card. Let me go online and see what this is worth. Or it seems like there's more of a purpose, and maybe the innocence is lost a little bit. Do you guys like that kind of shift?
Yes and no. So for me, it can get frustrating at times, because when you think about it from an investment standpoint, there's just a lot of volatility in this market. So certain sports carry more volatility than others in real-time trading, selling, investing. So basketball is one where if you're invested in a rookie and they go off on a triple double, they could literally have a 30, 50, or 100% bump because it was a primetime game, and you're sitting on 10 rookie cards you got for $10 that all of a sudden you got a couple $100 that you weren't even expecting. You're going through your boxes. The trade-off with that is you like begin to chase the things that didn't bring you as much joy when you started collecting. Yeah. So I think you're absolutely right. It's both. Like, I have things that it's called PC, personal collection, your favorite cards, your favorite players. There are certain players, like for me, Eric Davis, any cool Eric Davis card, auto. Well, I just remember him having a gold chain and wearing his hat backwards. And it was like going into the Griffey era. And he's just OG, like as cool as it gets with collecting. His value is not going to be one that people are crazy about. But every time I come across the Eric Davis card, I think about buying it.
Yeah.
Every time. And I think there's still some of that purity in collecting with it.
Yeah, and I think that to your point, Chase, one of the things that we see within the collecting world and sports cards or comics or whatever else, there's a little bit of parallel to the general approach to the economy. Without getting too deep into the weeds, we tell people all the time, if you're in this to collect what you like. Okay. Don't worry about it as an investment. If you are trying to do this to make money, you can do it. But if you're doing it based on information that was 2 weeks old, you're going to get burnt. You're going to get burnt real hard. You have to put in the work, just like anything else. You're talking about stocks. You're talking about crypto. You're talking about anything that
Funko Pops.
Yeah. Funko Pops. I collect Funko Pops. But
Nerd.
I collect what I listen, 100%. I've got the entire Care Bears set. Don't even care. I'm a 45-year-old fat man. I love the Care Bears. When I was a kid, it was my favorite cartoon.
Yeah.
Can I get that in a soundbite?
Yeah, for sure.
That last sentence?
The 45-year-old man. I love the yeah.
I need that.
But in general, if you're wanting to make money in something, you have to be in front of the curve, not behind the curve. And we're seeing that in this world right now really bad. A lot of people got behind the curve, sent a bunch of base rookie cards into PSA and to BGS, thinking that they were going to get rich because they saw other people doing that. And now that market's tanked.
Okay. I need to call time out because a lot of people that might be listening have no clue what any of the words you just said.
I just blew people's minds.
Okay.
Let me jump in as somebody that's less of an aficionado than Gary and try to explain what he's talking about. So back in the day, you would buy a box of Topps baseball cards. And by and large, there was a rookie that you were looking for, and everybody was looking for that rookie. A better example would be the Griffey rookie out of Upper Deck that everybody was chasing. You would just keep chasing those Griffey rookies.
Which means going to stores, buying packs, and
buying packs, buying a full set just to pull that rookie out to have it. But there wasn't a lot of ways that you weren't really chasing anything other than like you talked about, it was more player centered. Well, now products come out and they release short printed or serial numbered cards or variations. And they're saying that this box that, you might have been able to buy a box for $50. Now this product is $1,500 a box. So just by the price of buying that box, that rookie card's worth more. So what people were doing was they were taking, if it was real time now, all of those Griffey rookies, and they're sending them off to a grading company, because if that comes back a 10 or even a 9, or with some companies a 9.5, you have multipliers on what that card is worth. Because if you have a 10, that is the best condition that card can ever be in. And so you are going to have the highest value. Nobody's going to say, is this really in that good a condition? Or I see this corner, this dinged, so I'm not going to give you as much. So people started sending all their cards off with the excitement during COVID. Everybody starts collecting again. And there's a massive backlog because now there's 5 million Zion Williamson just basic rookie cards.
That should be worth $1.
That should be worth $1. But because of all the hype, everybody thinks their 10's going to get them a college fund.
But now it's worth 20 cents.
Well, give it time. I'm a little too invested in Zion, but
no, is that a sore spot?
But yeah, so what he's saying is people were just assuming that this is like printing money in the same way that people talked about crypto or stocks or some of these other hobbies. Like there's massive volatility and you need to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
Baseball prospecting is a way to 10x your money. There's probably more opportunity to not lose, but to gain significant money, but you have to do so much homework,
which I do.
Yeah. But the media will hype a player that's performing well. We just talked about it.
And whenever you say like make money and there's money in this business, like you're talking like money, like bags.
Yeah. So this week, a product came out, basketball release just in the last year. Everybody was LeBron triple logo man.
I heard about
the
this.
Logo man has 3 patches and it's from Cavs, Heat, and then current day, right?
Parts of his jersey are on this one card.
Actual NBA logo man part of the jersey.
Yeah.
And it's a 1-of-1. It's the only card that is like this
in the world.
And there's a company called Golden Auction, which is kind of the gold standard on selling high-end, hard to find cards. And it auctioned off at $2 million plus a $400,000 buyer premium to pay the auctioneer. So someone bought into probably a break, which means you just buy a team and whatever comes out of that expensive product you get. What would you guess that spot was for that card?
I think it came out of a 5-case break, and those cases were 30 grand a case. So it was $150,000 break, 30 teams. So they're 6 grand a spot.
Someone spent 5 to 6 grand. The teams were all randomized. They hit the Lakers. And wouldn't you know it, in this box that only has a few cards, there's a $2 million LeBron James 1-of-1 card in there.
Well, and you really want to get to the crazy part of it. Somebody had the Lakers, but somebody else had the Cavs and somebody else had the Heat. So 3 people technically were in the running for that card. And then that was random off. So you only had a 1 in 3 chance. Imagine being the other 2 guys who didn't get a piece of that card.
Yeah. So there's, several teams where people spent $5,000-$6,000 got nothing. So
the 20-cent Zion Williamson card, maybe.
Yeah. The variation in products now versus when you were a kid, or even when I was a kid, 10 years before you guys were kids, is insane.
The only card we would was the Honus Wagner first like cigar box card or whatever, or it'd
T206.
Like the Mickey Mantle rookie, like some of these like OG rookies.
Yep.
Or there'd be like a misprint card that you'd be like, oh, that's a weird card.
Yep.
It's just crazy to see how this. What would you attribute to the growth of all of the whole hobby? Because it kind of died down a little bit. Like I almost was dead.
Yeah. So in the early 90s, the hobby almost killed itself. It just overprinted stuff to the point of absolute insanity. And people lost their rear ends because they were buying cases of product thinking they were buying retirement funds.
Yeah. One real quick example of that is Upper Deck got in some heat because they made this Ken Griffey Jr.'s rookie card that was really popular and it was worth money when people would find it. It was found out later that for 2 years after his rookie year, they kept printing that same year's set so that they kept circulating 3 years after his rookie year. They were still creating his rookie card.
Yeah.
So they were just saturating the market because they were printing money. And then when everyone has that card, it's not worth as much.
Until now, when it is again. But it's like anything else. So everything's cyclical. And in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were some players that got a lot of hype coming out of college in different sports. Peyton Manning coming to NFL kind of saved NFL cards. When Shaq came into the league, it was huge. When Kobe Bryant came in, it was huge for the hobby.
That rookie class is still ridiculous.
And then the manufacturers realized, well, what can we do that will allow us to not only print large print runs and make a lot of money and allow collectors to still get rare things. That's when serial numbered cards started getting inserted into products and case hits started getting inserted into products. And there's been a big renaissance in those late 90s to mid 2000s case hit cards that nobody really cared about for a while. And now, Fleer had a set called Precious Metal Gems in Fleer Metal. And some of those Precious Metal Gems cards go for insane dollars now, when you could buy them 10 years ago. You could buy an Emerald Kobe Bryant for $500 10 years ago, and it's a $800,000 card now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's real money, real numbers.
Oh yeah.
So some of these cards, they're not the ones you can buy at Walmart, are they? Or could you just go to Walmart? Could some grandma say, I want to buy this for my grandson, buy a pack of cards, and this pack have one of these like $30,000 cards in it, and they don't even know?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. So there's two main types of product: retail product and hobby product.
Well, they're configurations, not product, because
Yes.
the product is the same, but the configuration is different.
A hobby product may be, let's say it's $500 a box, and it guarantees in this box there are 2 autos and there is 1 memorabilia card. And in this hobby product, not only are those, but we have this certain type of gold shimmer card
Insert that's
that
exclusive.
is only in hobby. Now there's retail also. You can go to retail. So Wander Franco's big baseball rookie this year. You can get a Wander Franco rookie in retail, and you can get a Wander Franco rookie in a hobby product. But some hobby products are going to have rare cards you can only get if you're paying that premium.
Yeah.
You can also, they put hits in retail. They put autographs in retail. They put short, like serial numbered cards in there. So there are some products like Bowman Base is one where there's guaranteed autos, but this year their retail product has been loaded with short prints and serial numbers, and people didn't know that they should expect it to be so loaded. And it's a great class for their first. So Bowman's like a prospecting baseball minor league guys, and their card will have a first on it, and it's the first ever licensed professional card for them. So it's cool. Like it's a pre-rookie card basically. And if you know your stuff and know that this 19-year-old kid's going to be a stud, that's the rookie card to have, right?
Like a Bryce Harper, if you would have been on him.
Oh yeah.
Who was that pitcher for the Nationals? They used to, was like really
Steven Strasburg.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the great what if guy. Like, what if he had not gotten hurt every third start?
Right.
Because when the dude's been healthy, he's been lights out, but he's been hurt more than he's been healthy in 10 years in the league.
So, Jason, we Eric Davis is your PC personal collection. That's kind of like your kind of thing. Gary, what's your, is it Care Bear Funko Pops? Is that kind of where you're at?
No, when it comes to Funko stuff, I collect weird things. I collect cartoon characters that I loved as a kid. Okay. So I've got Care Bears, I've got Voltron stuff. Like the stuff that I loved as a kid. You can laugh. It's okay. I'm
laughing at Jason's reaction.
I'm laughing. I'm like a parent. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Right.
Jason just shook his head and in disgust. And
so
I wasn't laughing at you. I promise.
Sports card wise.
Shut up. We're making fun of you.
That's cool. My PCs and sports cards are the same type of thing. My favorite football player of all time is Ken Anderson. Okay. So I collect Ken Anderson when I can find it. Jason actually got me a really cool card a few months ago that he found that was a triple patch of Ken Anderson, Andy Dalton, and Joe Burrow.
Oh,
for me, super cool card. Not worth a lot of money, but it'll never leave my possession. Just a super really cool card for me. I've got several Ken Anderson autographs, some Ken Anderson rookie cards. It's a player that I think there are guys in the Hall of Fame that Troy Aikman that were way worse than Ken Anderson was. But so those types of things that are for me. Everything else in my collection is stuff that I'm buying to try to sell at a different point. Football is my first love as a sport, but when it comes to cards, baseball prospecting is my wheelhouse. I think that we have listeners that listen just to get that insight.
Yeah.
I do a lot in social media with that stuff. But I'm not buying those guys to hold forever because I just love them. I'm buying them because I can grab a card right now that is going to be worth 5 times what it is 6 years from now. And I feel pretty confident in my ability to evaluate that.
And sometimes you would call that. So I think J.K. Dobbins is going to have a big upside this year. I think he's going to be back from injury.
I agree.
But so I've been purchasing a lot more of him than normal. But I like him. And whenever there's a cool one of his card, I'm going to hang on to it.
Your wife has a super cool one.
Yeah. You got her a nicer
I did for her birthday
than what you got for me. Anyway. But yeah. So when it comes to that PC, you have different players. Sometimes it's a short-term hold. Sometimes it's a long hold. But you're kind of projecting and guessing and doing the best guess you can on where the values might be if X happens or if so-and-so makes it to the playoffs. And then like right now you have interesting things happening with the market too. NBA players, NBA season's over, immediately see a dip in the NBA. All the NBA cards take a dive. You're in the off season. Brady, Mahomes in that Super Bowl, you just dip off even if they won. So like the prime time to sell a rookie quarterback card is the week of the Super Bowl, not the day after the Super Bowl. You're selling on the hype if you're trying to make money off of it.
Yeah, if it's a player that's in the Super Bowl, if you're actually selling quarterbacks, the prime time to sell quarterbacks is 2 weeks before the start of the actual season because they haven't had a chance to do anything bad yet. And everybody is hoping that they're going to be able to buy something right now and double their money in 6 weeks.
Yeah, I don't have a personal collection. Growing up, everyone wanted Michael Jordan cards just because like the McDonald's Michael Jordan card, I felt like was
the
like,
Olympic set.
Yeah. That was really cool. I never got it. But I remember just having my card book with all the cards, just like you're always taking it in and out. So I would hate to see how I haven't looked through it in forever. But just looking, a lot of really great memories, just getting packs, putting them in there, trading, now growing up, you just have your friends, you would trade with your friends. Do you guys, are there like trading halls or how do you guys trade? Like, what does that look like as adults? You don't just go to someone's like house.
Well,
I don't know.
That's
maybe
creepy.
you do.
That's creepy.
Growing up, you just go to your neighbor's house or whatever. And
yeah, but if your neighbor was a 40-year-old man, you usually didn't go. No. So now a lot of it's done on social media, but
unless he had a lot of Ken Anderson, bro.
Right. Now a lot of it's on social media, but what has been really cool to watch is most LCSs. So LCS is local card shop. That's just an industry term for local card shop. And we've got 4 or 5 in the Columbus area.
One huge one in Grove City.
Ryan owns that. That's Card Collector too. He's got an interesting story. Good dude, but he almost all these shops have trade nights. So they'll have a night where they'll buy a bunch of pizza and have soda there and invite anybody that wants to come in to bring their stuff. And for them, it's great because they sell a bunch of product.
Sure.
And then there's a bunch of other collectors there that are wanting to trade or buy stuff from each other. And so, and you can network a little bit in those situations.
That's really cool.
And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The social media side of it is really cool too. So the traditional platform for years was eBay. eBay heavily favors the buyer. And so it's a risk if you don't have like a graded card that's in a slab that says the condition, because what started happening as the market was taking off with this is people were buying, they would have the exact same card in a worse condition. And they would say, hey, this didn't arrive in the condition they said. They would post a picture of their card that was beat up and the seller was getting screwed because PayPal would force them to refund.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Then send back the other one. So things like that were happening. Facebook was never a place where I would want to do a lot of business for years and years. But now that you have these groups that buy, sell, and trade, people know their profiles, their administration an eye on it. You use protected payment services. And you're a part of a community that actually kind of holds that accountable. It's really important to people not to get screwed on that. So the social media platforms have actually been a pretty effective way for you to trade, buy, or sell.
Instagram's great too.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little about the crypto market I know you guys don't shy away from talking about that. You guys aren't like financial advisors.
Nope.
But I don't know who else who could kind of give us an update on the state of the crypto kind of world and what that looks like. We can take a quick break, stick around, and we'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Jason.
And I'm Gary, and we love ball cards.
And if you love ball cards too, good news. You just found your new favorite podcast. From breaks to grading,
And from collecting to flipping, join us on the Ball Card Show.
the sports podcast for the sports collector.
Hello, this is Don Mike Mendoza, the host of the Producing While Asian podcast. Join us to listen in on conversations with everyone who identify from producers to non-producers who all are part of the AAPI community. There's all that and more on the Producing While Asian podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
We are excited to announce that we are joining the Press Play Podcast Network. The Krypton Report podcast is dedicated to all things Superman, Supergirl, and the planet Krypton. We discuss movies, TV, game, comics, and all things DC.
So join me, Tyler, with my co-host James and Jania.
So join us as we explore DC's multiverse.
Look for Krypton Report on all social media platforms.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Listen, it is beyond time for you to join a book club. I know you've been thinking about it and everyone's doing it. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us and then listen in.
Hey everyone, it's JD from the Hyman Podcast. Backed by popular demand, I'm excited to let you know that new episodes of the Hyman Podcast will drop every other Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're going to continue the conversations we started last season and keep having those hard conversations. There is so much in store for you this season, and I'm excited to share it with you. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single moment. The Hyman Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
All right, we're back with Jason Otero, Gary the Masters, host of the Ball Card Show on the Press Play Podcast Network. We're talking card collecting hobbies, PCs, which stands for personal collection. And I want to talk to you guys as well about this crypto market here. I want to share my crypto story first. You guys have been in it way longer than me. So here's how my story goes. I've remember hearing about Bitcoin in 2000, like pretty early 2009, 2000. If you're on the internet at all, I feel like you at least heard that name, Bitcoin, for a while. Didn't think anything of it. And still didn't think anything of it just as it continued to grow and everything, blah, 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 blah. I got COVID in October of 2021 and I was just like in bed for like 7 straight days. And at some point during that time, I saw an ad for Coinbase. I'm like, oh, cool. Coinbase. That's neat. It's an app where you can buy crypto on your phone. Cause that was one of the frustrations. The couple times I did look at buying whatever currency, I didn't know how to buy it. It was hard to figure that out. Like, oh, an app, great. I'm going to download this app and see what's going on. If I buy a coin, I get 5 free Bitcoin. Okay, cool. So I purchased $100 of it's not Dogecoin. It's another coin.
Oh, good. That's good. I'm glad you didn't buy Dogecoin.
Well, just wait. So this is after.
It's actually worse.
It probably is. This is after AMC, right? This is after all of this stuff. GameStop. I purchased Shiba Inu.
Oh,
Dogecoin 2.0.
Right. And I felt like days after I purchased this, it shot up, and I was like, this is awesome. And again, I'm still in the throes of COVID, so I buy more. And it continues to go up. Like, this is pretty great stuff. Like, what it took me so long? So much that I texted one of my friends about it. He got in and it continued to go up. right? And so at this point, probably up 300 or 400% of my initial investment. Like, this is just fantastic. And then just as quick as it went up, it goes down, and you're like, oh no, this is awful. And like, well, it'll bounce back up because you expect it to. Well, I thought it was. Well, then you start reading about it, and you're like, oh, it'll get listed on another app, and then that'll also continue to go up, and it never did. And now it's like way below. I'm like minus 100% or whatever it is. So not good. So anyway, that's my crypto story. Why did I lose all that money? Someone tell me. I don't know what's going on.
So here it kind of goes back in short to what I was saying about sports cards.
Okay.
If you, by the time you hear about something in the general well of public knowledge, you already missed the boat. Crypto is a Wild West market, and most people who dip their toes into it for the first time do exactly what you did. They hear about something somewhere and they go, oh, this is where I could 8 or 9x my money. And they see it going up and they're like, oh, it's never going to drop. This is just, it's exponentially going to grow. And they don't take profits, and then it falls. And that even happens to what most people consider stable coins like Bitcoin and Ether and Litecoin.
Never heard of Litecoin. Is that good?
Ooh, LTC. Yeah. It's not bad, but here's the problem in the crypto world. Everybody and their brother over the last 5 years launched some type of a coin. And in a market with no oversight, there's a reason that Facebook 2 years ago eliminated all advertising for crypto on their platform, because it was scam fest. Two things you want to look for if you're going to buy into crypto. Two very, very important things.
Which, again, just a reminder, no, you guys aren't financial
we're not
planners,
financial advisors. I'm going to give you some common sense, though.
They are professional Care Bear Funko Pop collectors.
We host the ball card show.
Right.
I just happen to have been pretty active in crypto. You were talking about not knowing how to buy crypto. I almost said I wrote a book for that, because I did write a book for that. I wrote an ebook for that probably 4 or 5 years ago.
It was really good.
Yeah, it's probably outdated info now, but at the time it was, they downloaded a lot.
Here's the 30 steps to buy and sell.
Yeah, and some strategies. But here's what you want to look for. One, does the coin have any utility whatsoever? And when I say utility, I mean, is the network that the coin is built through used to make or support anything? Two, does the coin have any type of a burn rate? Those are the only two things that really matter for the long term. That's why Bitcoin will never go away as long as crypto exists, because Bitcoin is the platform of stored value. And it's why Ether will never go away as long as there's crypto, because it is the platform that supports 90% of other coins and projects that exist in the marketplace. It's a necessary component for everything else to exist,
i.e. NFTs. That's the primary for the NFT market.
And burn means when a platform is utilized, is there a amount of the coin that gets burned away in order for the utilization to occur?
And Chase, if you're like me, you're already bored. And this is stuff we have to know when we invest in something.
Yeah.
Right. Here's a question I have for you then. What is it about the generation of the 30s and 40s that is obsessed with volatile markets? We are obsessed with gambling. Like, it's almost like sports gambling came to our laps at the exact moment when our entire generation was like, I've been preparing for this one loss after another for the last 10 years.
So I think I would say, because it wasn't available for us growing up, it had this like tinge of, oh, that's bad to it. And now that it's acceptable and more like everywhere, like, oh yes, it is, like, I get to do this. No one can tell me what
time
to do.
Everybody let me be rich.
Right.
like with
so I think that's like a valid like point to this is, well, also the internet's awesome. We grew up with the internet. We're comfortable with the internet. We are okay with transactional internet stuff. I mean, when the internet started, it was don't ever share your name about anything on the internet at all, right? You don't want any. Now no one cares.
Yeah, there's a meme that makes me crack up every time I see it. It's like 1996. My parents said, "Don't ever give anyone information about anything over the internet."
Yeah.
2020, freedomeagle.net says Hillary killed 4 people. Like,
Right.
Like that's the dichotomy.
Yeah.
But with crypto, I think there's also a very valid point to what you're saying, though. And one of the things that gets very glossed over, and it's why so many people get burnt, whether it's in crypto, whether it's in sports cards, whether it's in comic books, whether it's in sports gaming, whatever it is, the same sword that allows us, the internet, to find cool things like this is the same thing that Jason just said, though. I spent 30 seconds talking an extremely brief, non-detailed overview of some very important things to consider.
I was with you.
And Jason was already like zoned out. So people use the internet to look for get rich quick schemes.
I want to go to Reddit and I want to find the right thread,
right,
and I want to put money there. And it's no different from me walking in the casino and saying
on black.
26 black, like I do every time. 1 out of every 50 times, maybe I hit black or 26.
And that's the difference. Like all the tools are available to be as successful as you want to be. But let me ask you this, Chase, and I already know the answer. You bought you bought crypto.
Yeah, I did.
Right?
I did.
Can you read a chart? Can you read a crypto chart? Do you know what the candlesticks mean?
I mean, I know red is good, green is good, red is bad.
Yeah, Chase.
Yes, but do you understand like inverted bull cups and different formations and when a candle burns too hot? Do you understand what paywalls are, buy walls and sell walls are?
Candlestick is the amount of how quickly a stock goes up.
Well, kind of.
And okay, so no, I don't.
Okay, so kind of that's my point, though.
Well,
and we could spend 5 hours talking about this stuff, which we don't have.
Because I put capital into this, I have heard of the term candlestick. I have heard of these terms and words. I don't know exactly what they mean, which brings me to this point. A Business Insider just released an article with one of the guys from Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary, that's not Mark Cuban.
Mr. Wonderful.
Kind of like Mr. Clean, but not as handsome, whatever. I don't know. He's saying he buy the dip. He's like holding. He's like not freaking out at all. He's like, this makes sense. This is natural. This is like part of the process. You're going to learn what works, what doesn't work. He's all about, he's not like discouraged at all. Now, easy for someone who has a lot of money to not be discouraged. Like,
but I guarantee you he's not invested in Shiba Inu. I guarantee you he's not invested. Well, I don't mean that as a shot at you, but he's not invested in Dogecoin. He's not invested in these meme coins. He's investing in what I talked about. He's investing in things that have utility and that have network probability. That's the stuff he's buying into.
And why aren't we buying it, Chase? Why aren't you and I buying that? We both know the answer to this. I'm not buying that because that doesn't excite me, because I can meet with a financial planner and do that boring 30-year plan that 95% of millionaires have done over 30 years, is saving money and investing it wisely. But that's freaking boring.
Jason, let me tell you what, those 3 days where Shiba Inu didn't come down, dude,
you were tendering a resignation letter. You had talked with your wife, babe. I'm not saying it's happening, but I think within a month, I don't have to work anymore. I get it.
It was very exciting. And
yeah, but here's the funny thing. The same mentality, for whatever reason, is why I get excited about, I could probably just open up a card shop. 5 years ago, it was vinyl records in the middle of that and that hype. Like there's something about being, everybody wants to get rich quick, but when you have it around something where you feel kind of smart and like, something that not everybody else knows, there's ego involved as well. And I think that's where a lot of this, if we're being honest, hits us. I came in a little bit after he did with the crypto. He kind of gave me this guide. Things were going well. And then I tanked out. Stuff came back this last year. And I had been like, I'm done with crypto, that I didn't change my exchange platform over to the US approved one. And I lost all of it.
Oh no.
So, but that's an example of like how quickly we move on from one thing to the next thing without truly diving deep and like making it a craft or something that we care about. Card collecting is similar in that way. Like
100%.
you really need to know. You can't, if you want to just get some cards and have fun, great. If you want to collect, if you want to invest, especially, you got to do a little bit of research on what you're doing, or you can really take some losses.
Yeah. By the time it's general public knowledge, you missed. You
All right.
missed.
So again, no one here is, well, Gary maybe has some of the maybe most financial crypto info that, you know. Anyway, what's the future of card collecting look like? What is that? That's kind of pivot away from crypto a little bit. What does the next let's just do 2 years, 2, 3, 4 years of card collecting look like? Do you see it regressing, or is this kind of like we're in a nice little wave here?
Well, I'll jump in with one thing, and I'm sure he'll add more detailed information on it, but something historic in the hobby is taking place over the next couple of years. The company Fanatics that does like a lot of jerseys and sports memorabilia, they kind of came out of nowhere, and they've monopolized to where they now have, and it happens over the next few years between sports, but the licensing for player image and likeness and from the league on
everything but hockey.
Everything but hockey. So Topps used to kind of be the baseball,
right?
Panini was football and basketball, and they could still make the other sports, but they weren't licensed with the sports uniforms on them, logos and all that. Fanatics just kind of swooped in, and they're going to have everything. So people that have even built businesses off of breaking cards online, they don't know that they'll even be able to get direct from supplier or direct from production allocations, which has a lot to do with where the value on the market is how accessible products are. So there's a lot shifting. The other thing that's happening is selling right now in the last few months has taken a dip. These people that were waiting on all their Zion rookies to come back finally got him, and he's injured. And sports, you know this because you work in media with it. You need to have information out yesterday. If you're 2 days late, like we've all done this. We do a podcast knowing we're talking about something 1 week old, and everybody's moved on, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to be aware that that's the market you're in. So some interesting things are happening. I'll let you tack onto that, but I think the Fanatics piece is a kind of a big X factor.
So they'll continue to release Topps and like
Ross,
or is this all going to be Fanatics?
Well, it's going to be a little, so Topps, Fanatics bought all the licenses exclusively for the 3 major North American sports, and they got exclusive licenses with the players associations of those sports.
Wow.
Then they went and bought Topps. So Fanatics now owns Topps.
Okay.
So Topps will still be a product that is released. And my guess is most of the Topps products that exist now for baseball will continue to be released. And we will then get basketball and football versions like Topps used to make. We'll get Topps Chrome. We'll get Topps Finest. We'll get Bowman, that stuff for those sports in about 3 years. Here's what I see happening in a 2.5 year window, and then past that, once Fanatics,
they're going to start having stadium cards.
Well,
stadium
already there.
Oh no!
So the next 2 years are going to be kind of ugly, in my opinion. If you are an investor, I would never put any of my money into anything that is not numbered or autographed or some type of a parallel or a variation.
If you're investing, this doesn't mean like the average collector.
Do not touch base cards. Panini especially is going to turn the printing presses on into overdrive. They have a 2-year window to make as much money as they can make before they are out of business.
So break this down real quickly. Here's an example. So Panini owns several different, what would you call it? Brands of cards?
Well, they don't own it. They release
different ones. So like Prism Football is kind of
it's the flagship card across all sports. Yeah.
So this year they decided to release these products, and they're selling them at about $1,500 per hobby box.
2 years ago, they were $200.
2 years ago, they were $200. If you hit a Mac Jones silver auto, which is how many autos are guaranteed in that? Two autos per box. The odds of it being Mac Jones and it being a rare version of his autograph are very slim. You're going to get back how much now?
$600.
That's right now. That's the card that you're chasing other than like a 1 of 1 or something like that, right?
Which has already been pulled.
Which has already been pulled. What you're going to have to do to get your money back right now. So Panini is like, we got 2 years to make money and we're going to get, but they're putting like Rex Ryan autographs as an option in there. It happened. Somebody pulled a Rex Ryan autograph out of a $1,500 box.
Yeah.
I would have lost my mind.
Yeah. It's
cool card if it cost me $10.
Yeah, but not $1,500. The next 2 years are going to be rough in the basketball and football worlds. If you want stuff worth owning long-term, you're going to have to pony up. You're going to be buying Flawless. You're going to be buying Spectra. You're going to be buying National Treasures. To give you an idea, Flawless just released at $10,000 a box, $20,000 a case.
How many cards are in a box?
10 cards in a box.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So the next couple years are going to be a little weird. After that, once Fanatics takes over, I'm actually very hopeful. Fanatics has a huge reach in the general sports fan market. What's crazy is the statistics that I've seen and the numbers that I've seen say that only about 6 or 7% of people who identify as active sports fans also identify as sports card collectors. And Fanatics has already said that their main goal is to quintuple the collector base once they take over. They actually, the one thing that this market doesn't have at all is anything resembling a coherent marketing plan to anybody outside of the hobby. Fanatics actually has the ability to do that, and they will do that. You were just talking about stadiums. They're opening card shops. Fanatics is opening card shops in Major League Baseball stadiums already. Wow. Fenway Park has a card shop in it. Yankee Stadium is going to be opening a card shop.
Fenway just did a card show in Fenway Park.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
So I think that long term, the market is still in its infancy. I think that it's going to grow 4 or 5 times over the next 10 years. But this next couple of years is not going to be a fun window if you're somebody that's sinking a ton of money into lower. We talked about this 2 episodes ago. I've always bought Prism products. I won't buy any Prism products. I might buy some singles. I might buy some low numbered singles of guys that I want to hold for the long term, but I will not buy wax of that product. I won't buy much Panini wax in general because it's just not going to be feasible financially.
It's crazy.
I think it'll be a little bit like crypto too, where you have people that just bow out when they have a year of taking losses, and there's going to be collections with good cards going up left and right. If you're buying in bulk, you'll have an opportunity to reposition or find some players you've been trying to collect. I think you're going to have to be patient with it, but I think what it's going to cause people to do is, so you have wax, which is like new products that are sealed, right? And they're going to have singles, which is individual cards. I think the singles market will climb as the wax market struggles. Right now, I think that's what's going to be happening over the next couple of years. People will be buying players, variations of rookie cards, graded cards. But it's a little bit of a market correction that I think is past due because people just got so greedy,
got overheated.
They were buying $20 boxes of Prism basketball that year that Ja and Zion were rookies, and they were turning around and selling them for 60, 80, $100. And it was literally printing money. Like, people were fighting in the stores, and like freaking Walmart and Target had to say, we no longer sell cards, or you can only buy one, or we have to have an adult babysit you.
Pulled a gun on somebody at a Target in Wisconsin,
and they hit pause nationwide on card sales. So there were some of these things happening where they created this scarcity. They created an opportunity for people to make money really quick.
Well, the sneaker flippers realized that there was a lot more money and it was easier to get. So the sneaker flippers came over, and during COVID, it was no exaggeration. If you went to a major metropolitan Walmart or a Target on stock day, when the Excel rep or the MJ Holdings rep was there would be 25 to 30 grown men standing by the cards aisle.
I did it in Columbus. I did it in Columbus. I would wait for 2 hours. I didn't have 2 hours to lose.
I would go, and there would be guys literally with sleeping bags curled up in the aisle taking naps, waiting for the person to show up.
Because they're going to grab 20, 30 boxes, and they're going to make $600 that day. It was sold as soon as it was posted. So you had that craze happening. Then they started raising prices on the retail stuff at Walmart, Target. Boxes that are 20 are now 35. So they were just doubling the price. So it's getting tougher for them to make a quick buck. I think overall it's good for the hobby.
Yeah.
We just answered that question like 15 minutes. I don't know if we were thorough enough.
No, that's crazy. I need, next time you're in Columbus, I need to give you some of the cards I got just to look through and see what I have.
Yeah, we'll take a peek.
Or we could all just hang out and
Yeah. That sounds more fun.
That does sound more fun.
You should just come down to our studio, you know.
Ooh, I would love that. I'll
We're
bring some
currently
pizza.
recording on a ping pong table.
That's okay. I'll bring the pizza so we can touch all of our cards with like sauce
Yeah.
and
Cheeto
garlic
fingers.
butter.
Get that mid 90s card collecting vibe. Yeah.
For sure.
I think that's
That'd
great.
be good. Well, hey, tell us about your show. When can we when are new episodes dropping? Like, what does that look like? Let's plug your stuff.
Yeah. So we in the summer we have a few breaks, but typically we're dropping on Thursday nights, and typically weekly. And so we try to upload it Thursday. You can find us Ball Card Show anywhere you get your podcasts. And then also on Facebook, that's basically our primary social platform there. We have a group and a page. And then also another platform, there's a cool app called Whatnot where people can hop on and do live auctions, and you kind of are able to chat with everybody while it's happening. Like, picture if you had a card you wanted on eBay, but everything got shrunk down to a 30-second window, and then a new card was going to come up every 30 seconds. So we go live on
our like my collection and see what people.
Yeah. And we post and sell and chat with everybody on that as well. So
Yeah, it's a fun platform, and we're building that audience. Just what I will tell anybody that jumps into Whatnot, be cognizant, because it's very easy to blink and I just spent $500. Oh
no.
Okay.
Well, I'll read your ebook on Whatnot coming out soon. So. Look, you guys are the best. And if you're listening and you know someone who is into this stuff, send them this episode or send them to this the Ball Card Show podcast. Is very, very impressive stuff. You guys know what you're talking about. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you all for downloading the Chase Smith podcast. You guys are the best. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Follow us online at Press Play Pods. Visit our website, pressplaypodcast.com, to keep up with all of our shows and network news. Jason, Gary, thank you so much. You guys were the best.
Thanks, man.
You.
All right. We'll see you soon. Pizza cards. It'll be a great night.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yep. Cool. Peace.